Okay, so are you ready to dive into some seriously interesting stuff? We've got leaked audio from Eric Schmidt, former Google CEO, talking about all things AI.
It's from a Stanford event, actually. They took it down pretty quickly, but not quickly enough.
Someone got that audio out there, huh?
Yep. And it's juicy. Schmidt doesn't hold back at all, talks about AI's crazy potential.
Yeah, and some pretty strong opinions about work culture, too, from what I've heard.
Oh, absolutely.
This isn't your typical tech interview, folks. This is like getting a peek behind the curtain of one of the biggest names in tech.
Right, we get to hear his unfiltered thoughts,
Yeah.
not carefully crafted PR statements.
All right, well, let's jump in. This whole thing about AI hitting warp speed in its development, that's what really grabbed my attention.
Yeah.
He specifically mentions these longer context windows emerging in AI models, and I'll be honest, I had to do a little research to even understand what that means.
Oh, yeah, that's a bit technical. Think of it like this. It's like AI's short-term memory is getting a massive upgrade.
Okay, so right now AI can forget what it's read just a few paragraphs ago.
Exactly. But with these longer context windows, AI is going to hold on to way more information, see the connections in bigger chunks of text, and basically become much more human-like in how it responds.
So it's not just about AI getting smarter, it's about AI understanding us better.
That's the key, right? And this could change how we use AI every single day. Schmidt even uses this wild example. Imagine telling AI, build me a TikTok competitor in 30 seconds.
Whoa, hold on. He thinks AI will just build entire apps on command.
He calls it this text-to-action capability. Like AI takes your plain language instructions and just executes. Doesn't matter how complex the task is.
Okay, now that's both amazing and terrifying at the same time.
Wait.
What does that mean for the future of coding?
Right.
Are we all going to be out of a job if AI is just writing all the code itself?
That's a big question, and Schmidt talks about this too. He predicts programmer productivity, at least, will double because of this.
So to everyone listening who's thinking about a tech career, should they just give up now?
Not so fast. It might not be so simple. Some basic coding jobs, maybe. But Schmidt thinks programmers will move to more specialized roles.
So we'll be working alongside AI, not replaced by it.
I think that's the idea. Think about it. Someone still needs to give those super complex instructions to AI, right? And understand the nuances of all the different programming languages and fix things when AI inevitably messes up, which it will.
Gotcha. So we bring uniquely human skills to the table.
Exactly.
Schmidt doesn't just stop at coding, though. He talks about AI changing chemistry, materials science, like AI agents running experiments all night long, making groundbreaking discoveries.
Yeah, he's talking about AI being an active participant in scientific discovery.
That's mind-blowing. But it also brings up this whole other question about knowledge itself. Schmidt talks about AI systems getting so complex that we won't even understand how they work anymore.
Yeah, the black box problem.
You're telling me we might create AI that's so smart that we don't even know how it's so smart? That seems a little risky, right?
It is a concern, and Schmidt even quotes Richard Feynman here, the physicist. Feynman said, "What I cannot create, I do not understand." But what happens when we do create something that's beyond our comprehension?
Yeah, I don't like the sound of that. How can we trust AI to make important decisions, especially in things like healthcare or finance, if we don't understand how it's thinking?
That's a huge debate right now. Schmidt thinks we need to develop new ways to test and validate AI systems, even if we can't fully grasp what's going on inside. He compares it to raising teenagers.
Wait, what?
Complex, unpredictable, but we learn to live with them, trust them to a certain degree.
Okay, I see the analogy, but teenagers don't usually have control over life or death situations.
True, sure.
It feels like a pretty big leap of faith to just trust these black boxes.
It is a leap, but it's one we're probably going to have to take as AI keeps getting more integrated into our lives. Schmidt's point is, we can't be paralyzed by fear, right? Got to find that balance, the incredible potential of AI, but also the need for responsible development oversight.
And speaking of oversight, that brings us to another big theme, this whole global race for AI dominance. Schmidt is very, very vocal about the U.S. needing to stay ahead of China.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's talking massive investments, billions, maybe even hundreds of billions of dollars to fuel research and development. He even jokes about having to be best friends with Canada for their hydropower because the U.S. just doesn't have enough energy to power these giant AI systems.
Yeah, it's wild, this whole idea of a knowledge supremacy battle.
Sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. What does that even mean in practical terms?
I think it means whoever has the most advanced AI has a massive advantage in everything, from the economy to the military.
It's like AI is the new nuclear weapon.
In a way, yeah. Schmidt talks about how the U.S. is ahead in semiconductor technology, the chips that are crucial for building these advanced AI systems. He says they're about 10 years ahead of China, but that this lead is shrinking fast.
So we're in this global chess match, and AI is the most powerful piece on the board.
Exactly. And Schmidt's basically urging the U.S. to make some bold moves to keep that advantage.
Okay, so we've got AI getting more powerful, more integrated into our lives,
Yeah.
and this intense global competition to control it. That's already a lot to take in, but then Schmidt throws in another curveball, his views on work culture, and, well, let's just say, they're a bit spicy.
Oh, yeah, he does not hold back there. He basically says Google lost its edge because it was too focused on work-life balance and not focused enough on just winning.
So Google got too comfortable.
That's what he's saying. He contrasts Google's culture with this work-like-hell mentality of startups. He even praises Elon Musk for pushing people so hard.
He's saying Google was too focused on employee well-being and that it hurt their ability to innovate.
That's his argument. He even tells the story about Taiwanese PhDs working on factory floors, like to emphasize the cultural difference in work ethic. Like, look, other countries are hungry, we need to step it up.
That's a pretty provocative statement.
Yeah.
It does make you wonder, though, how do we balance this need to push the boundaries of technology with creating a sustainable work environment? Can we really innovate without burning ourselves out?
Right, that's the big question. And it's one that we're going to keep exploring as we go deeper into Schmidt's leaked insights.
Yeah, it's a tough one, for sure. And then there's this other layer Schmidt adds, the cost of actually developing these advanced AI systems. He thinks this might lead to a pretty big shift in the AI world, away from these open source models and towards more, well, closed proprietary ones.
That's interesting because he sounds like a big open source fan, but Google, the company he ran, is known for being, pretty secretive. How does that work?
Yeah, he kind of admits that contradiction, but argues that the economics of AI are changing the game completely.
Sure.
These massive AI models need tons of data, enormous computing power, and that means huge investments up front.
Companies want to protect their investments, make their money back. I get it.
Right, so they might be less willing to share those big AI breakthroughs. Makes sense. So it's like this tension, right, between collaboration and competition. On one hand, open source is great for fast innovation. Everyone shares ideas, builds on each other's work. But then the companies putting billions into AI, they probably don't want to just give away their most valuable stuff.
That's exactly the dilemma. And Schmidt actually points to this real-world example, this French AI company called Mistral AI. They're thinking about making their next model closed source, purely because of the insane costs involved.
So this whole openness versus secrecy thing, it's playing out right now in the AI world.
Big time.
But doesn't that go against how the tech world usually works? I mean, hasn't this free flow of information been like a key driver of progress?
It definitely has. But Schmidt thinks the scale of the investment needed for AI might force a different model. It'll be interesting to watch how this plays out, right? Can we find that balance, the need for profit, but also the benefits of everyone working together?
It's a big question. And then, of course, Schmidt brings this into the geopolitical landscape,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to the U.S. and China.
Oh, absolutely. He's very clear about AI being a major battleground in the rivalry between those two superpowers.
Yeah, he talks about the U.S. government restricting the sale of those high-end AI chips from NVIDIA to China, recognizing that these chips are like the key ingredient for building the most advanced AI.
Yeah, he actually compares controlling the supply of these chips to controlling access to oil or other vital resources in the past.
So it's strategic, right? Like
Right.
a way to maintain an edge.
Exactly. And China sees it as an attempt to hold them back, which has, definitely increased the tension between the two countries.
It feels like we're moving into a world where technology, especially AI, is directly tied to national security global influence.
That's exactly the point Schmidt is making, I think. It makes you think about how these technologies will be used, not just for economic reasons, but also maybe for military purposes.
He actually talks about this directly, doesn't he? This project he worked on with Sebastian Thrun, the Stanford professor who started Google X.
Oh yeah, Project Golden Horde?
Right, developing swarms of low-cost, AI-powered drones for warfare. Schmidt argues this could be a total game changer in military tech.
Huge implications.
He compares it to what's happening in Ukraine, where those relatively cheap drones have been super effective against that big, expensive Russian equipment.
It's like a modern-day David and Goliath story, but with AI in the mix.
And he thinks that's just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yeah.
He sees this future where autonomous drones with these advanced sensors and decision-making capabilities could completely change the nature of war.
It's a little scary to think about.
Yeah, to be honest, it is.
Yeah.
But Schmidt argues that it could actually make war less destructive in the long run. Like, if you can target specific military targets and avoid civilian casualties.
It's a complex argument for sure. It brings up a ton of ethical questions too, of course. But it's a conversation we need to be having, especially as AI is more and more integrated into military technology.
Yeah, every part of this leaked interview seems to be forcing us to think about these big, important questions about the future, not just of technology, but, of humanity itself.
Absolutely. And Schmidt comes back to this idea of AI changing how we understand knowledge itself. He keeps talking about these black box AI systems where we don't fully grasp how they work. He says that's challenging our traditional ideas about knowledge.
It's like we're creating something so complex that it almost feels alien.
Right, it's beyond our grasp. And he brings up Feynman again, too, that quote, "What I cannot create, I do not understand." But with AI, aren't we creating things that we don't fully understand, but they're still doing incredible things?
Like stepping into a whole new era of knowledge, an era where we have to accept that we just might not have all the answers.
It's a mind bender. He has this analogy comparing these AI systems to teenagers. Like, we don't always know what they're thinking. They can be unpredictable, but we learn to live with them, trust them to some extent. Maybe that's how it will be with AI too. We won't fully get it, but we'll figure out how to interact with it, use its power.
Interesting analogy, but I'm not sure I'm totally comfortable with the idea of AI being like a moody teenager with access to, the world's information.
Right. It's definitely thought-provoking. But I think his point is that AI is forcing us to rethink our relationship with technology, with knowledge itself, and maybe even with ourselves.
I see that. So, okay, let's shift gears a bit. Schmidt also talks about the future of education, which is something I'm really curious about.
Yeah, me too. He predicts that every single computer science student will have an AI buddy to help them with their studies.
Oh, that's cool. So it's not just about AI potentially taking jobs. It's about AI actually being a tool for learning, for collaboration.
Exactly. And he even speculates that we might need fewer human programmers down the road as AI starts writing its own code. That's a bold prediction. What does that even mean for education, for jobs, for all of that?
Right. It makes you think, if AI can handle all the technical stuff, what skills will be important in the future? What should we be teaching our kids to prepare them for a world full of AI?
It's a huge question that we all need to be thinking about, not just educators. The world is definitely changing, and the skills we needed in the past might not cut it anymore.
Yeah, it's like we're on the edge of this massive shift, and no one's really sure what's on the other side.
It's a bit unsettling, but also kind of exciting, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. It's like this AI revolution, it's not just about technology, it's about how we adapt as individuals, as a society, to a whole new way of doing things, a whole new way of thinking about the world.
And that's a challenge, but it's also a huge opportunity. I think Schmidt's trying to tell us to pay attention, to get ready, because this wave of change is coming whether we like it or not.
Right, and he's not just talking about the tech itself. It's about the impact on everything, geopolitics, how we work, even how we understand what it means to know something. It's like this massive systemic shift.
Exactly. And that brings us back to that question. What does all this mean for you? If Schmidt's right and this huge AI transformation is just around the corner, what skills, what mindsets will be most valuable in this new world?
Yeah, it's a lot to process, for sure. I mean, it's like Schmidt is giving us this glimpse into the future, and it's both, exciting and a little bit scary at the same time. What really struck me is how much of this he sees happening so soon. He keeps saying next year, in the next few years. It's like a wake-up call, like, hey, this is happening now. Are you ready?
There's definitely a sense of urgency there, isn't there? And I think that comes from how he sees the whole geopolitical landscape shifting. AI isn't just some, abstract technology developing over there. It's becoming central to global power dynamics.
Exactly. He's so clear about what's at stake in this knowledge supremacy battle between the U.S. and China. It's like whoever masters AI first will have this huge advantage on the world stage.
Yeah, like it's the key to dominating the 21st century. And that's why he's so insistent about the U.S. investing heavily in AI research development. He sees it as like essential for national security.
But it's not just about money, right? He talks about needing a cultural shift, too. More competitive mindset, even if it means rethinking our ideas about work-life balance.
Right, that's where his views get a bit controversial, shall we say. He seems to think the U.S. has gotten a little too complacent, too focused on comfort and stability. Meanwhile, other countries are pushing harder, taking more risks.
He even compares Google's culture to that work-like-hell startup mentality, right? And praises Elon Musk for that relentless drive.
Yeah, like Musk is his example of what it takes to win in this new landscape. It's a provocative argument, definitely sparked a lot of debate, but it does make you wonder, how do we balance that need to push the boundaries of technology with creating a work environment that's actually sustainable?
It feels like we're at this point where we have to make some tough choices about what we're willing to sacrifice to stay ahead in this AI-powered world.
And those choices are going to have huge consequences on everything: the job market, education, even our fundamental understanding of what it means to be human.
So it's not just about building better AI, right?
Yeah.
It's about figuring out how to live with it, how to adapt to a world where these technologies are shaping our lives in ways we can't even fully imagine yet.
And that brings us back to that core question. What does all of this mean for you? How can you prepare for this AI-powered future? What are the skills, the mindsets that will matter most?
It's like we need a whole new operating system for our brains, right?
Yeah.
How do we even wrap our heads around all of this and then actually figure out how to navigate this landscape that's changing so fast?
One thing that really jumped out at me from Schmidt's insights was this emphasis on adaptability. He sees that ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn as absolutely crucial in this new era.
So it's not just about picking up some specific technical skill. It's about having this mindset of continuous learning,
Right.
being comfortable with uncertainty, with change, because things are going to keep changing, probably faster and faster.
Exactly. The only constant in the world of AI is change. What's cutting edge today might be obsolete tomorrow, so we have to be willing to constantly evolve too.
So it's about being more agile, more resilient, more able to thrive in a world that's constantly in flux.
I think that's it. And that's actually pretty empowering, right? It's not about being afraid of the future. It's about embracing the possibilities and making sure we have the tools we need to navigate whatever comes next.
I love that. So instead of fearing the future, we should be equipping ourselves to thrive in it. That's exciting.
It is exciting. It's a challenge, no doubt, but it's also an opportunity to redefine what it means to be human in this age of AI, to use these incredible tools to solve our biggest problems, create new art, explore new frontiers of knowledge. It's a pretty amazing time to be alive when you think about it.
Wow, I feel like I need to go for a walk and let all of this sink in. It's been an incredible deep dive. So many things to think about.
Me too. But that's the beauty of these conversations, right? They make us curious, they challenge our assumptions, and they leave us with more questions than answers. And sometimes those questions are the most valuable things of all.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, folks, that's our deep dive into Eric Schmidt's leaked insights. It's a lot to process, we know, but thanks for joining us on this journey. Keep those questions coming, keep exploring, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in this amazing age of AI. Until next time.